Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning. My name is Donna Lawrence, and I want to welcome you to our annual Team Green Sunday service in honor of Earth Day. I've been a member of Team Green since its inception in 2009, thanks to Ann Krieg, who kind of conned me into it. And I'm joined by Cheryl Edelin, Margaret Henderson, Barb Myers, who's not with us today, and Gary Mummer. Having been a member of this congregation since 1978, I have been privileged to participate in many activities here. Right now, I participate in Caring Circle, the Knitting Ministry, and the Ministerial Search Committee. I wanted to add a couple of things. Gina Cassetta and Deb Oria are part of our service today, not because they're on Team Green, but because they do the garden outside the cottage together. They did it last year and they're doing it this year, which is a wonderful thing. And some of the vegetables are given to Dorothy Day and some they take home and so on, right? Okay. Another thing, this is totally extemporaneous. I was out in the lobby before the service and I noticed on the bulletin board the information about the new members. And we used to post it on the wall over by the coffee, and now it's not. So I would urge you to look at things along the bulletin boards in the lobby, because we tend to just kind of pass through. There's a number of very nice things to read there. Okay. Welcome to the online service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. We're so glad that each of you are able to join us this morning. And together in community, we can ensure that social distancing does not mean social disengagement. Our weekly services are more than just a gathering of our physical bodies. It is the forming of a sacred time that we have been making together for 199 years now as we work to build a more just world. Whether you are well versed in the technology of teleconferencing or not, we welcome you. For those of you new among us or reconnecting with fonder hearts, we invite you to introduce yourselves and where you are connecting from in the chat box as you are comfortable. After our service, we invite you to stay and participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. Whatever the faith and traditions of your past, whatever your theological stance, whatever your heritage, whoever you are and whomever you love, we welcome you. You can learn more about us on our website and Facebook page. We encourage you to share a Facebook page and reach out to others who may feel isolated and might benefit from the spiritual connection of our loving community. I just need to call your attention to two particular announcements in the order of service. There's a men's dinner group starting again, and it's starting on Monday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Grill by Barbary at the Danbury Mall. And the women's group, not to be outdone by the men, the women's group will meet on this Thursday at 2 p.m. in the lower level of Fellowship Hall. The Paugussett people, upon whose tribal lands we meet, made the following commitment, which seems appropriate as we examine our own commitment to Earth. It's your road and yours alone. Others may walk it with you, but no one can walk it for you. Okay, now, my papers. Oh, okay, now we're supposed to do the greeting one another, okay? Missed that one. So if you'd like to, but please turn and Okay. Okay. I forgot to. It's hard to control you. Come on. Sit down. I forgot to ask you to wave to those on Zoom. So please do that. Wave to everybody. Thank you. Okay. All right. Now, if you would please draw your attention to the screen, we will sing For the Beauty of the Earth. And please rise as you are able to sing.
Now is the time when we light our chalice. Keith is going to light it for me. You guys ready? I love the first word. Ready? Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life. And now our children's affirmation. Get your UUs ready. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. Thank you. Now we'll have a meditation for the earth.
The earth is steady. When you are close to the earth, you feel grounded. Your nervous system is more regulated. Your blood pressure tends to drop. Those of you who are blessed to have steadiness, the steadiness of the earth as part of your personality, you tend to be people who can be counted on. Those of you with the earth element are firm and steady. You are builders, providers of stability in any team, in your family, Anywhere you go, you provide stability for others. Yes, you have to watch out for rigidity, but in general, this element is the foundation of everything. The earth holds everything. So it is essential for us to find the steadiness of the earth somewhere. It can be by connecting directly to the earth and feeling that support, or by having a community that fully supported, that you feel you can rest on. And again, things in your life, spiritual practices, structures in your life that support you and they support your nervous system. It is essential for us to find the steadiness of the earth. Gracias, Mother Earth, Pachamama, Madre Tierra. Thank you for your steadiness, your stability. Thank you.
Good morning. This is the time in our service where we enjoy a story for all ages. And typically this is presented by our Director of Religious Education, the Reverend Sierra Marie Gerfeo. She is off this week, but I am happy to step in her spot. And today's story is titled Sky Woman Falling. And the author is Robin Wall Kimmerer. And so I wanted to say just a little bit about her so you have a little context for where this story is coming from. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a SUNY Distinguished Teaching Professor of Environmental Biology, an enrolled member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, and the founder and director of the Center for Native Peoples and the Environment, whose mission is to create programs which draw on the wisdom of both Indigenous and scientific knowledge for sustainability. Also the author of Gathering Moss, A Natural and Cultural History of Mosses. She lives on an old farm in upstate New York, tending gardens both cultivated and wild. So let's begin. In the beginning, there was the sky world. She fell like a maple seed, pirouetting on an autumn breeze. A column of light streamed from a hole in the sky world, marking her path where only darkness had been before. It took her a long time to fall. In fear or maybe hope, she clutched a bundle tightly in her hand. Hurtling downward, she saw only dark water below. But in that emptiness, there were many eyes gazing up at her at the sudden shaft of light. They saw only a small object, a mere dust mote in the beam. And as it grew closer, they could see that it was a woman, arms outstretched, long black hair billowing behind as she spiraled toward them. The geese nodded at one another and rose together from the water in a wave of goose music. She felt the beat of their wings as they flew beneath to break her fall. Far from the only home she had ever known, she caught her breath at the warm embrace of soft feathers as they gently carried her downward. And so it began. The geese could not hold the woman above the water for much longer, so they called a council to decide what to do. Resting on their wings, she saw them all gather: loons, otters, swans, beavers, fish of all kinds. A great turtle floated in their midst and offered his back for her to rest upon. Gratefully, she stepped from the goose wings onto the dome of his shell. The others understood that she needed land for her home and discussed how they might serve her need. The deep divers among them had heard of mud at the bottom of the water, and they agreed to go find some. The loon dove first, but the distance was too far, and after a long while, he surfaced with nothing to show for his efforts. One by one, the other animals offered to help: otter, beaver, sturgeon. But the depth, the darkness, and the pressures were too great for even the strongest of swimmers. They returned, gasping for air with their heads ringing. Some didn't return at all. Soon, only little muskrat was left, the weakest diver of them. He volunteered to go while the others looked on doubtfully. His small legs flailed as he worked his way downward, and he was gone a very long time. They waited and waited for him to return, fearing the worst for their relative. And before long, a stream of bubbles rose with the small, limp body of the muskrat. He had given his life to aid this helpless human. But then the others noticed that one of his paws was tightly clenched, and when they opened it, there was a small handful of mud. Turtle said, "Here, put it on my back and I will hold it." The sky woman bent and spread the mud with her hands across the shell of the turtle. Moved by the extraordinary gifts of the animals, she sang in thanksgiving and then began to dance, her feet caressing the earth. The land grew and grew as she danced her thanks, from the dab of mud on the turtle's back until the whole earth was made, not by Sky Woman alone, but from the alchemy of all the animals' gifts, coupled with her deep gratitude. Together, they formed what we know today as Turtle Island, our home. Like any good guest, Sky Woman had not come empty-handed. You may remember she fell with a bundle, and that bundle was still clutched in her hand. When she toppled from the hole in Sky World, she had reached out to grab onto the tree of life that grew there. And in her grasp were branches, fruits, and seeds of all kinds. These she scattered onto the new ground and carefully tended each one until the world turned from brown to green. Sunlight streamed through the hole from Sky World, allowing the seeds to flourish. Wild grasses, flowers, trees, and medicines spread everywhere. And now that the animals too had plenty to eat, many came to live with her on Turtle Island. Here ends our story. And now I invite you to join us in singing This Little Light of Mine, one of our morning rituals. And just as we enjoyed greeting each other at the beginning of the service, we also like to share the milestones in our lives. And so this is the time in the service when we do that in a couple of different ways. So we'll begin with our silent milestones. If you have something in your heart, on your mind that you would like to acknowledge, but maybe not speak out loud, we invite you to come front to the chancel table and place a stone in the bowl of water. If you are at home and online, we hope that you have a way to mark your milestone too silently. And perhaps that means even just putting an X in the chat box. You're welcome to do that. So Cheryl will play a little bit of quiet music for us if you'd like to participate in silent milestones. We move into Spirit of Life. So I'll ring the singing bowl. We'll have a few moments of quiet, and then Cheryl will take us in.
Sure. This is a prayer of commitment from the UN Environmental Sabbath Program. We join with the earth and with each other to bring new life to the land, to restore the water, to refresh the air. We join with the earth and each other
to celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars.
We join with the earth and with each other to recreate the human community, to promote justice and peace, to remember our children. We join with the earth and with each other.
We join together as many and diverse expressions of one loving mystery for the healing of the earth and the renewal of all life.
Good morning. Less than 10 years ago, when UUCD embarked on its response to climate change, Team Green aspired as one of our goals to also support the UU youth and young people, young adults who are actively working on climate change. We did find some small ways to do that over the years. And today we have the opportunity to share the plate with UU Ministry for Earth, whose foot soldiers are the young and the restless and the youngish. And so we're continuing to try to support them. And I do share that part of my annual giving is to Ministry for the Earth, simply because we have many reasons to support them. Let me give you a couple. Of all the social action groups I've been involved with over the years, this group spends the significant time encouraging their staff members and their online community to take care of one spirit. Climate change work, environmental work is often hard and discouraging. So this kind of work is really important. I do take part in their online solstice services, not well advertised, but they're there, and also in their earth-based spirituality meetups. Helps me to keep my balance in an uncertain world. I get incredible insights and inspiration from the young people entering our movement through a UU organization like this. The world is changing, the USA is changing, and the UUA is changing. I get to hear the voices and see the diverse staff, including Black, Indigenous, and people of color, all UUs in their search for environmental justice and earth justice. The process changes me. I also gain access to resources across faith communities. Some of these learnings have been applied here at UUCD. It's a great resource for seekers, activists, and congregations. Indeed, we borrowed elements of the Ministry for Earth program today. They provided a program to congregations which completes the whole service. We borrowed elements of it. Lastly, some of their postings offer tasty recipes, and I enjoy that. In fact, one we'll try out after the service. Thanks to Cheryl. Where's Cheryl? Ah, there you go. She baked these plant-based treats for us to enjoy today. So for those of you on Zoom, I'm sorry I can't beam them up to you. So today, please be as generous as possible. This group is fully engaged in supporting our congregations and many individuals. 50% goes to the congregation, 50% to Ministry for the Earth. For those on Zoom, you should be able to see the address where you can mail a check or other options for payment. I thank you for your kind donations, and I'll be speaking too much to you lately or later. Thank you, Barbara and Cheryl, for tickling the ivories for us. Good morning, my friends, members, and all of you on Zoom. Last year, Team Green brought you on Earth Day Dr. Mitch Wagoner from Western Connecticut State University. He was here to update us on the gravity of climate change. Today, we're not going to do that. I saw your eyes glaze over when I mentioned that word, but we're not going to do that. We're going to try to accentuate the positive today. And what we've done here at UUCD together, with thanks right up front to the boards, previous boards, and the current board for supporting Team Green and Buildings and Grounds in the things that I'm going to talk about in part. I'm going to do two things. Try to share with you what is going on here at UUCD. I've been told by a number of people that Team Green doesn't get the word out. We don't tell you what we're doing. We don't share enough. So that's what we're going to try to do. I do want to say a couple of words about living in Connecticut, the advantages and some of the good things going on in Connecticut. And then finally, I'm going to share with you what I consider very exciting developments based on some recent federal legislation, which actually starts kicking in this year. Back in 2015 and 2016 timeframe, this congregation voted twice to get off of fossil fuels by 2030 and to put the earth kind of front and center. We didn't actually say the earth front and center then, but that's what it was about. I'm pleased to report that we're well on our way here at UUCD of getting off of fossil fuels. And the key to start that process was a high quality, large size for the congregation solar power system. We put that in 2016. I'll talk more specifically about that in a moment. After that significant installation here, Team Green worked on more systemic changes. We shifted our detergents away from oil-based, fossil fuel-based materials to plant-based materials. You know how many complaints we got? None. It works. It's just not quite like Dial or, those others. But that was the first thing we did. We ramped up our recycling program to include plastic films, and we also started harvesting our leftover food and discarded food and coffee grounds, all going to the compost bin. That rotating, ugly brown, gray, green thing out there. But anyway, that compost ends up in the garden. If anybody wants to see really good, clean, finished compost, there's 3 buckets sitting out in the garden. It's ready to go on. It will amend the soil and provide lots of nutrients, I'll guarantee it. Under the leadership of Barb Myers, recently, she collected all the china from the cottage house basement, and we started using washable tablecloths, our own china, our own silverware, and taking care of that after the event. And it's just another example of ways it takes a little bit more labor, but we can do it. We've invested in battery-powered groundscaping tools. So we get less fumes, don't have to store gasoline and oil, and all of this is powered by the solar cells. Our major advances, have been in the heating and cooling arena. When the building was built, 3 large methane gas furnaces were installed. We now only have 1 left. We put a high quality system in the attic up here for this entire level. And of course, when we built out the basement, we put state of the art Mitsubishi system down there, heat pump that does not need electric backup heating. It's efficient down to 17 degrees below zero. They work. We invested in smart thermostats that are Wi-Fi controlled, so we capture efficiency and energy conservation in that process. At the lower level, we installed a state-of-the-art ventilation and heating recovery unit. So it's the cleanest place, air quality wise, on the campus. That's why we've shifted many programs to the lower level. To reduce oil fuel in the cottage house that's has been heated by dirty heating oil for many years, we've reduced the use of the boiler by electrifying 4 staff offices, 2 restrooms, a classroom, and those electric heaters that are now in those new areas, or those areas, have Wi-Fi control again, so we can take advantages of the energy conservation and efficiency gained through those uses. Additionally, we put water heaters in the cottage house that are right-sized for the building uses. We used to have an 80-gallon electric hot water heater in when this property was bought, and it was wasteful and starting to leak. So we did, I think, the right thing. On the exterior, we've shifted to solar-powered security lighting where we can. So you'll probably see it as you walk around the community or around the campus. I think we have 8 or 9 of those lights up now that provide us security and extra lighting at night. Toy time. We're actually researching moving to these types of mowers that are powered by electricity only, batteries. And of course, that will come from the solar panels. We've got excess to do that. So less noise, less soil damage, less maintenance, no gas and oil storage required, and no fumes for those who have to ride the darn things. We don't have approval from the board yet, but we're working on it. Let me share some highlights. Some of you like data, so let me throw up some data here for you. For the fellowship hall, our methane gas costs in 2014, the left column, about $2,800. For the fellowship hall, we do have 1 backup furnace. We've shifted to propane gas. That's why you see the white tanks out there. In 2022, we spent about $250 for backup gas. So huge reduction in fossil fuels for the fellowship hall. In terms of our electrical use in 2014, oh, that's the old one. We didn't get the new one in there. Let me explain this one. It starts off at 16 megawatt hours per year. So it makes it look like we have a drastic increase in 2022. Let me explain the difference. 2014, we used 16.3 megawatt hours of electricity. The basement wasn't finished out. We did this whole level with gas. And that's how much electricity we use for the fellowship hall, 16.3. Now, with a heat pump, no gas, heat pump providing our heat. Everybody comfortable? Okay, see, they work. We now heat the basement or the lower level, and we've moved a lot of our programs from the cottage house over to here because clean air and less costly using the power of the sun. Again, our heat pumps are powered by the sun most of the time. We do have to borrow some power at nighttime once in a while on a cloudy day. Let's go on to the cottage house numbers. We've cut fossil fuel use there. In 2014, we used 750 gallons of fuel oil. That's about 7 visits by the truck. 2022, we're down to 130 gallons used. Choosing my language carefully because we had a delivery cost more than that. But I know how much we used, and it's about 130 gallons. Again, a drastic reduction in fuel oil because we took the time to do low-cost things in the cottage house, insulating the ceilings, which weren't insulated well, sealing joints, that's SEAL, to reduce air infiltration, and a number of other things. Yeah, I think installation of lights, and now mostly LEDs, but we started with CFLs. And in the cottage house, our electrical use, if we can go to the electrical use, in 2013, we used 8.8 megawatts. That's 8,800 kilowatts, which you're probably more used to dealing with on your residential bills. You deal in kilowatts. Here we deal in megawatt hours. So in 2013, 8.8, again, after the low cost improvements, and because we now electrify the cottage house, use spaces most of the time, we only use a portion of that, 3.7 megawatt hours per year. We do have to have the boiler on once in a while to keep the pipes from freezing, so that's where we use the oil. Okay. From this very brief review, you'll see that we're making progress on reduction of fossil fuels and the more harmful ones, those oil fumes. We're also spending less money for utilities. So I don't have all those measures to throw up here, but Marie can back that up, I think. So can Carl Tischler and probably some others on the board. Let's throw up a slide about about the solar system. Barb Myers produced this slide for us from the mountains of Mexico. She's on vacation. She did this, and I just love this one. So we've had it up more than 6 years, no maintenance costs to date. What else do I want to talk about? The panels are still performing well ahead of the projections by the contractors. Over 250 megawatt hours of power for the community and us. Our excess goes back out onto the street, and we get our cottage house actually draws from our excess when the sun's shining. But and I'm sure most of you haven't heard a good word about Eversource lately. Well, I'm here to give you a good word. In the last 6 years, Eversource has paid this congregation over $26,000, because we've lived up to the contract to produce electricity as we contracted for, and because they reimburse us every year for excess electricity. That check was near $2,000 this year for excess electricity sent back to the grid. I do want to spend a couple of times, as I said, about living in Connecticut. When I moved up here, started talking to the electricians and the contractors, 95% of the contractors I talked to said solar doesn't work. It's not a good investment in Connecticut. I studied further and found out that I was being fed a line. And so I put it on in New Fairfield, in my house in New Fairfield, our house in New Fairfield, and it worked. It saved us a lot of money. And I started talking to my friends in New Fairfield, especially my conservative friends. Some of them took the bait. They could separate their ideology from their desire to save money. My arborist looked at my panels and I finally talked him into it. He contracted with a firm. He had a large south-facing roof. He loaded it with panels. He has an all-electric house. His bills average $25 a month. So his friends who were scowling at him years ago, he's now laughing all the way to the bank. So it works in Connecticut, and Connecticut has also done a number of innovative things. It's the first state in the country that set up a green bank to finance businesses, individuals, residential homeowners, and reach into communities of low income to make sure that the benefits of solar get distributed. And so that bank exists to support what you want to do with your house, fairly low interest loans, which will be less than the savings you'll get from doing the things that they can offer. I won't go into the long list. The Connecticut Green Bank, it's so easy to Google. Can't forget Green Bank, can you? Let me move to finally the last thing I want to talk about, the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed on a bipartisan basis last year is awfully named Inflation Reduction Act. A big part of that is to deal with the effects of climate change. And a big part of those climate change dollars are actually going to get into low-income communities, Black, brown, and indigenous communities, tribal lands as well. Can we shift to the next slide, Sherry? I'm sorry, I didn't follow the cues. Just back to Connecticut for a moment. This is just a brief one I want to show you about all of the innovative alternative energy corporations that are at work in Connecticut, generating lots of jobs and tax revenue. Okay, so let me get back to the Inflation Reduction Act. It's called IRA, so don't confuse that with your investment strategy. I only want to focus on, next slide, please. I only want to focus, next one, please. Okay. So something happened to it, but anyway, both the New York Times and the Washington Post have done extensive articles on the climate change provisions for residential owners. Any residential owner is going to have a package to play with. And these include not only tax credits, extensive tax credits across many trades and types of equipment, but also rebates, upfront rebates that you will be able to take advantage of to get your houses up to snuff to be ready for climate change. Not only will it save you money once you get these things in, but it will reduce pollution, make for jobs, good jobs in this country, and also fulfill an environmental ethic that I think most of us share. I wish we'd have that slide up because it's a slide of of a cutaway of a house. Starts on the roof. The solar panels, the insulation for your attic, moving down, dryers. We now have heat pump dryers, which will half the cost of your electricity usage. So I started on the roof. I'm now on the laundry. Heat pump dryers, 60% of what it normally takes for an electric dryer. You'll save 40%. In the kitchen, we have new electrical cooking and baking appliances coming in, which some of them will be induction. And even if you have to have your wiring changed or your wiring modified in your house, either at the panel or to your kitchen, that will be includable in the loan or in the rebates and the credits. Moving down, of course, the heat pump, we recommend that. That's that little box sitting on the left in the grass. This technology is getting so good, as I said before, that you don't need to have the backup electrical heat installed. It's more costly up front, but it works. I can show you in the lower level. In the laundry, we now have electric dryers that are based on heat pumps. So you get a 50% savings there. And water heaters in the basement, which you can just barely see, water heaters that are operated by heat pumps as well. So we're moving to a lot of appliances in the house, plus in the garage, you'll see a backup solar battery. And you can put a solar battery in your house, even if you don't have a solar system. But it's better if you have solar, because the battery can then charge, or the solar cells charge the battery, and the power goes out at the street, you can still use your solar system. That's the big advantage. I won't even get into EVs. I asked Brad Green to be here today. I don't see him. Brad bought an all-electric Mustang, a really hot-looking car. Now, I wanted him to be here to show that to you, but he's not. So you can get all kinds of cars you want. And unfortunately, the Act doesn't cover all cars. It only covers ones built in America with primarily American parts. I think just about everybody in this room could benefit from the program. And again, if you're condo owners and you have a meter connected to your unit, you'll be eligible for the similar benefits. I just want to close by saying that all of these things come to us because of people who vote their values. If we wouldn't be voting our values, we wouldn't have this bill. And I want to bring it home. I have a good friend in Danbury who served the previous 2 years in Annapolis as a state representative. He served part of Danbury, part of Bethel, and some other towns around. He ran for re-election. He lost, and let me point out, he had an excellent environmental record in Annapolis, Hartford. I'm still in Maryland, folks. He had an excellent record. He lost his re-election by 26 votes. 26 votes. Now we have somebody that does not reflect our values. And fortunately, in Connecticut, we have a system where we can look up who voted in the jurisdictions. My friends, many of them didn't even vote. More than 26, because he spent the time and looked it up. What I'm saying is, if you want to go down this road of environmental respect for the earth, that's great. But you have to be civic minded as well. You can't just do a piece of it. You've got to get active and be active and at least vote and get your friends to vote for your values, our values, and I think we might have a chance. Okay. Thank you very much for coming to this service.
Would you explain how you use the Wi-Fi system to keep the building working? Make sure that we have heat in the building. Can you repeat the question?
The question was, can I explain how we use Wi-Fi? It all comes from my phone. I have 13 systems on here. 2 thermostats here are Wi-Fi. It's easy to control it when everything's working good. We had a period of time when Comcast was working on the street, and I was down 50% of the time, so I was sweating a lot. But so I have thermostats scattered through the cottage house in here and other control mechanisms, so I can control the boiler now on and off and a number of other things. So I have 13 things to look at every time there's some kind of an event here, especially on Sunday services. Thanks for coming to our Earth Day service. And if you want more from Team Green, just let us know.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Gary. We have come, except for one more little video segment, to the end of our service, and it's time to extinguish our chalice. If you'll say the words with me that are appearing on the screen as I speak. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, sorry. Don't say the words with us. My bad. They're going to say them.
We extinguish this flame, but not our fiery call to action. We extinguish this flame, but not our passion to care for creation. We extinguish this flame, but not our call to be in deeper connection with Earth and all of our relations. We extinguish this flame, but not the bright light showing us a better way. We extinguish this flame, and as we do, we acknowledge that our greatest asset is one another.
That was another clip provided by the UU Ministry for the Earth, for whom Team Green is really thankful. And now Team Green has a reading. So if Gary and Donna will join me, and again, Barb Myers is not here. This is a short poem called Committed to Respond by Lynn Harrison. I'm gonna move this over so we're all kind of centered.
Share.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of us will do the first line, and then if you in the audience can do the highlighted line, okay? Committed to respond to the call of a wounded world.
We join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds.
Embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth.
We light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, strength, and courage to create a new world, not of wealth, but well-being.
A world of new peace and abundance for all.
As we give thanks for this earth, our shared and singular home. May we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care, rising to the calls deep within us and all around us.
May we respond today and always with courage and with love.
My dear friends, I'm David Waters, Minister of Education at King's Chapel, and I am so very glad to be with you today as we gather for the worship that sustains our work, that work of love and justice we're called to as people in sacred relationship with that interdependent web of all existence. The Reverend Egbert Ethelward Brown was a Unitarian minister and founder of the Harlem Community Church. He once offered a prayer that I share with you now. As we face a troubled and a puzzled world, we too are troubled and puzzled. As our fond dreams remain unrealized and our bright hopes of yesterday wither in the bitter disappointments of today, our courage fails, our spirits droop, our faith trembles, and frustrated, we bow our heads in despair. Nevertheless, we come to God in this hour of worship, in this house of prayer, and we pray for peace in our time, O God. May we be at peace with the world, with ourselves, and with Thee. May we know that without love, there will never be peace. Teach us, therefore, to love. My dear friends, as we gather in this 11th hour of the climate crisis, in this virtual, expansive house of prayer, as we remember the profound elements of earth, fire, air, and water, knowing that all of us together can do what none of us can do alone, may we be vessels of connection and possibility. May we accompany one another in hard times. May we be awake to the cries of climate migrants for justice. May we recognize what is healing and choose to live in ways to bring life and hope to the world. May the elements that connect us in the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part inspire us to reach beyond ourselves to one another in deeper, sacred, covenantal relationship. May we seek and offer love. May it be so.